one of the builders, and I wanted to see what was planned for that property. Because my understanding is that it's 5 acres for a building permit for a house. And I wanted to see what was planned for that area.
If it's a preliminary plat, then it hasn't,
Would have been,
it wouldn't have been
Yeah,
discussed yet, so.
probably have a public hearing on it. Do you know who owns the property?
No, I don't. I know it's one of the builders. So.
can somebody across the parking lot pull us up and
Yeah, probably. Probably be best if you went over to my office, so it's just that corner building right across the parking lot there. And then if you talk to Michelle, ask she can help you and probably could pull up the project and the map if we have it submitted. So.
tell them first to see if there's anything that's been submitted yet and know where in the process it is
But
before.
would they still be required to 5 acres in that area?
That's, she's gonna be able to tell you that.
Yeah,
map
it
and
just
know
depends
where
on
it
what
is.
the application is and where it is, so.
Thank you very much.
Is that's zoned for 5 acre lots?
I'm guessing it's probably an ag density plot, but they can go all the way down to 1 if they're using their division rights. But yeah, Michelle will be able to help you with that, so.
Because we're hoping we don't get
Yeah.
1 acre.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you. You guys want to go down these in order or?
That'll be fine, yeah. We've got Stan Hawkins and Jerry Rigby here with Harrison Canal Company.
Put you on the top list. What's up? What's on your mind?
Mr. Chairman, thank you for putting us on the agenda. We talk about County Line Road and the fact that the
Which county line road?
145th.
Okay.
North County Line Road. Anyway, I'm here speaking for the Harrison Canal Board, of which I'm a member, and we actually didn't see, but some of our patrons saw the survey crews down there doing survey work. So then I contacted Lance to see what was happening, because it's an area where the Harrison Canal struggled with it, even with the configuration of the road right now, because there's very little room between the canal and the pavement. And we have about 25 gates that have to be serviced. Water master has to come down county line, get out of the vehicle, cross the canal in some cases, other cases the gate's right there, measure water, deliver water, whatever. The water master's had numerous close calls. The last one was he pulled off the road to do his thing, did the measurements, got in his vehicle to back on the county line road, and somebody decided to pass coming right at him, and he says they were doing 100 miles an hour, so he pulled out into his lane, and then his car buzzed around. So there's just the history of the county line, I think, is well known. There's a fatality at least every year now, maybe more. We know several last year, a young person that actually worked for me was killed. He was riding with some kids at Grand Stop, so it ended up in the canal and drowned. One kid drowned. So it's problematical road. We're also being told that there's a big development being proposed now by Austin without Priory, right at the end of the county line where it reaches Priory. So traffic is going to get worse. Probably quickly.
Is that on the Jefferson side?
Don't know the answer. Both, I think.
Because I haven't heard anything from our side, but that doesn't mean that they just haven't come in yet. So
We brought an announcement about that.
It's okay.
I'll let him do it.
Get your name.
Absolutely. In fact, I intend to speak to this if that's okay, but I'll let you know. I'm Jerry Rigby, attorney expert, and I'll explain further. At the end of that is the announcement that is published in the Jefferson Star. I'll talk about the statutes.
the city of Priory. Looks like they're annexing into the city of Priory, so they wouldn't have talked to us.
The development my understanding is if you get to the end of the county line where it intersects with basically the city limits, there's a dollar, a family dollar store there on one side and then Foster's on the other side. Developed both with residential and commercial. So we think that the traffic, just that one development potentially could increase the traffic by 30%. Especially during the busy times, morning and evenings. That's kind of when water doesn't work. They're in the mornings to make sure that everybody's getting their water for the day. If it's there in the evenings to make sure something has gone haywire for the night set. So anyway, in this section, again, we have about 25 different structures and gates, and bridges. Many of the bridges on that canal there are substandard. I think a lot of the county folks have put Jersey barriers on those bridges because people have had trouble negotiating those terms to turn off county line onto those, especially trucks.
Well, we put up no truck turning movements, or turning off of county line to go across a couple of different bridges because they're narrow bridges.
Really substandard. And so anyway, another thing that we have there is the canal is levied. Then much of the time we're operating, there will be stretches where there's water actually above the pavement. And so that results in water being in the area between the pavement and the canal bank.
You don't keep your water in your canal.
Well, we need to, and we want to.
Folks downstream want that.
Yeah.
They're duty bound to.
So, with that background, I guess we might now just simply say that before, from the canal's perspective, we want to find a better solution than just fixing what's there, because what's there is problematical. And it's our understanding, Lance was good enough to come and meet with our board, describe kind of what to expect, what was happening. I think the county is positioned now to widen the road a little bit. There's not much room.
We're hoping to widen by about 1 foot on each side of the asphalt, the current asphalt.
When you were at our meeting, you said 2 to 3.
Well, I said 2 foot overall, 1 foot on either side.
But
Pavement. So is that gonna widen the shoulder?
That would essentially give us a 1 foot shoulder on each side. There's really not much of any shoulder through a lot of it right now.
There's not.
And there are places in the summertime where you have pavement and water right now. You get up by the top end of our canal, there are places there where in the summertime you will have water touching the pavement as it is right now. Now, another thing that has been brought out, Lance, you can fill those details in, but you've had the road fail before, like a bad spring breakup, and then you want to test it for road base or something, and you said you had stretches where you have nothing but clay underneath it.
So we had a geotechnical report done and some geotechnical drilling done in preparation for the design of this 1 foot widening. And there are significant stretches of that have a lot of clay underneath the pavement now.
I'm told that there's nothing worse under the road than clay, especially wet clay. And then I'm also very familiar with the fact that there's nothing worse on a canal bank than gravel. And we got lots of gravel on it. So we're wondering if we shouldn't try to work through a more comprehensive approach to this. And I mean, I think our canal board would be willing to go and try to seek out some grant money. There is some discussion of grant money being available for AG canal and water project infrastructure, which we think could include bridges. We also think, well, the corner of 85th, the Harrison Canal has a huge divide. We take the whole canal, send about half up to the south branch, then half goes on down the north branch. That divide is very close to needing to be reconstructed. I mean, the concrete is in failure. And I get close right up here. This is Danny Ferguson. He's one of our board members, and his son Trevor. And if you need a pencil, Trevor doesn't have any that he will lend out.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mike.
Anyway, Danny has talked to some of the preliminary entry folks that you talk to when you're looking for grant money. That's not going to be something that happens in 30 days or 60 days, I don't think, but it might happen. We might be able to get that in place within a year. And what our intent would be to try to come up with a way to come up with a 30-year fix instead of a Band-Aid, which we think just going in there and propping up the base that's under the road is, that's probably an improvement, costly improvement from what we've been told. Lance, you said so.
Well, we're hoping to make the road service a 30+ year road surface, because we're gonna be over excavating, removing a fair amount of that clay and going back in with a cross-section depth that will make County Road a 30-year road.
The surface that you currently have. And then again, we believe that we're being pinched so tight there that our easement rights need to be part of this discussion. And we don't want to have canal activity in it any more than anybody else. And we have to spray trees, we have to spray weeds, we have to have a water master there daily in the summertime. So we're wanting a better solution, and we're willing to be a partner to try to go find the money to see if there's a way to do what ultimately will be needed. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in this room that could argue, after seeing this announcement of this foster development and all the other stuff that's going on, that what's there is going to be good for 30 years. You're going to be back there, or we're going to just have a horribly fatal, terrible road situation there for both canal companies and the public. That's our view of that. And another thing that we think could happen is if we work together on this, we would love to have clay banks instead of gravel banks, so our water's not leaking onto the road.
So they won't let clay to dig up.
So if you're getting ready to haul clay,
Don't have to haul it far.
no, we would love to have it in the reconstruction of canal
You'd be
banks.
happy to give us back our gravel in the trade.
Potentially. I mean, if our gravel was suitable, we would talk.
I've been that road thousands of times.
Slowly, I hope.
Well, when I was a teenager, I'm not sure I could say that.
It was a little better condition when I was a teenager too.
Well, there was a lot less traffic and it was a much smaller road. I do remember that, but I'm not sure that everything that you've talked about isn't valid and isn't an important aspect for the long-term improvement for that section of road. I'm not sure that that invalidates the need for a Band-Aid to stop the bleeding that's currently occurring, and I'm not sure that they're retrofit opposed concepts. What am I missing? That what road is planning doesn't stop it from taking a long-term approach and a plan to actually fix these roads the way they need to be.
Tell us your name.
Danny Ferguson, 4271 East County Line Road. I live right on the County Line Road, right where Harrison Canal crosses and goes to the south side of County Line Road. And when cars that pulled in and out of that canal. One was about 3 weeks ago, they went over the bridge and right down into the bridge thing, and I went out with my telehandler because they needed 2 wreckers and their insurance company wouldn't pay for 2 wreckers. So I went out with my telehandler, changed it up, lifted it out. The guy came and got it, no injuries, thank goodness, nobody got hurt, but that is a constant issue right there, it truly is. But looking at this, we applaud you for coming in and fixing county line. Especially I applaud you for coming and fixing county line. Because it has become such a truck traffic route off of I-15. Anybody going Wyoming direction or Rowdy Grain or from that direction back to Bush. It's just that truck traffic on there is tremendous. And I agree with all your plan. I think it looks great. But there are areas that if you widen that 2 feet, you're gonna have no armpit, you're gonna have water. It's that close, right by my house, between 95th and 85th. That section of road through there, that canal lane is, in some places, it's not this far to clear asphalt. And if you widen it, we'll just put a swimming pool right beside it. That's what will happen to that. Our suggestion is if we come in there and even if you want to do a Band-Aid thing, we could build up that bank so that you could get some space and some borrow pit, and we could have a canal bank. And if we could riff raff that along those areas where it's like that, build it up. Our real goal would be to somehow the canal 20 or 30 feet south, away from the road, to allow for further expansion in the future. Turning lanes and things of that nature, but that may take a substantial amount of money, and that's why we were Ferguson grant. Wherever the heck you want. We're gonna try everything in the grant to figure out how to come up with that, but they have a thing called aging infrastructure. If we qualify for some of that, then work through those things, I think we could get a substantial amount of grant to make this improvement. But we're just in the preliminary stages of looking into that. But in the meantime, if you want to do this, it's got to have fixed something. If you're going to widen that railroad, that bank's got to be fixed so that we have some security there. And secondly, I think there's more work to do. Bank that display along through there. So our canal water isn't seeping underneath the road as you run the road base. I believe that's really the majority of the problems in those sections. All the clay just soaks underneath there, comes along, swish. It just constantly breaks that up. So, so if we can work together in this thing to figure out a way to do that, you've got to remove a bunch of road material clay and so forth. We have a perfect place to put it. You don't have to haul all the 20 miles. 5 or 6 feet to follow it.
Before I let Jerry speak, could I ask, has there ever been any kind of a study to determine what the 20 county line is, what the 30? Right now, if you go right on the county line, and you get to the county line overpass and stops, you can wait as much as 40 minutes as one car goes and then stops, one car goes and then stops. I mean, it's a bottleneck now, like I can't believe it.
Before the overpass, we're spot on more fatal accidents. We've been in a bunch of this. To answer your question, before we get to aspect of this, Lance, do you have any comments about?
I think, I think the ability to get some clay excavated out of the roadway and provided to a place where the canal company needed it. I think that could be worked into our contract pretty well. We don't have the contract yet, we haven't gone out to bid yet, wanted to kind of wait for this discussion and make sure that what was gonna happen before we finalize the plans. We do have two gentlemen here with JB who are the engineers who designed the road improvement. So I do think there's an ability that if we excavate out play, we can put it in the contract that it needs to be deposited at a place agreed upon by Harrison Canal Company and whatever other canal company. I think we could do that part pretty fast.
Would it be possible also, I don't know, would it be possible to build that up like 20 feet and then rip wrap the side, you guys have access to some pretty good lateral on places.
Well, that gets more challenging as far as, yeah, we have that. We have some rip available, but that adds to the cost of whatever the project is that we were hoping to accomplish.
I understand.
And so adding how much to the cost, where we have an engineer's estimate right now of approximately $7 million for the 7 miles of roadway from 50th out to Ryrie intersection.
Lance, it seems like maybe in one of our previous meetings, we talked about the right of way, like the easements on each side. And then they do it now.
So within the restricted right of way, the restricted right of way goes 25 foot from the center line in each direction. And then what we're planning on doing kept within that 50-foot restricted right of way. Nothing went outside of the 50-foot restricted right of way.
That's probably what the Jerry.
Yeah, that's mainly why I'm here.
Yeah, I assume you are, so I want to hear that, so you hear.
All right.
Your aspect, so.
You bet. I appreciate it. Commissioner Walker and Commissioner Mallard. Appreciate the opportunity of being here. My name is Jerry Rigby. Rigby, Anderson, Rigby, Law and Rexburg. Our firm does water rights. I think we represent 45 so many canals, 45 or more canals. I've done this for 45 years, no, not 45, 43 years. And so, the interesting part of it is just recently, I've, in the last 3 years, I've been before the Madison County Commissioners, Jefferson County Commissioners, and Bonneville County Commissioners on a similar issue. And that issue is one that's just, by no fault of anyone else, years and years ago, roads were created, canals were created, and they both have their statutes. Both have he's talking about his right of way. And what I want to point out, and what most of the commissioners, and I don't want to presume that you don't know this, but I want to make sure you understand this, that canals have the very similar right of ways and easement rights that the county does. And right now, those are conflicting with each other. And so therefore, the idea of some commissioners have been in the past, well, we have our right of way, you're going to have to deal with it. That's not the case. The canals certainly do. And I'm not here to pick a fight. I don't want to fight. I'm here to say they have their absolute easement rights, and I provided that here in the statutes. And it deals not only with the right of way, and if you'll look at on what I provided, Title 42 has 2 chapters, Chapter 11 and Chapter 12. Chapter 11 deals with the right of way itself. Chapter 12 deals with the maintenance part of the obligations, not only rights and obligations of the canal company, but anyone else. And if you look at number 4 on the first page of 1102 that I provided, no person or entity shall cause or permit any encroachments onto the right of way, including public or private roads. So some commissioners have been surprised by that. They say, are you kidding? The statute actually grants that? It does. In fact, not only in 1102, but in the maintenance part of 1209, it also says the very same thing. So what is the right of way?
Can I just add?
Sure.
In 42 1102.
Mhm.
There on 4, if you read the last sentence there, without the written permission of the owner or operator of the right of way in order to ensure that such improvements will not unreasonably or material interfere with the use and enjoyment, such written permission shall not be unreasonably felt.
Absolutely, and I was going to get to that, but I appreciate you raising that. And so therefore, we've always worked it out. I've never once had to litigate this, and we don't want to. But I just want to make sure that all the commissioners up and down the valley understand this, because through, again, no fault of the commissioners in roads. I mean, it's the chicken and the egg. What was here first? Was the canal here first? And therefore its right of way trumps the county right of way on roads? We're not here to debate that. The fact of the matter is, both of you have very, very legal and very substantial right of ways by statute. They have theirs, you have yours. And so all I'm here to say is that we're not here just asking that you please work with us. I think we have a absolute statutory right to say, you must work with us. And that's what we're here to say. And you've heard the problems, you know the problems. And it's been, I've heard it up and down the counties left and right. There are problems, so we need to work with it. So if it costs more to deal with it, because whether you move 1 foot or 12 feet, you are encroaching on their right of way. So it's an encroachment. And so then you get into chapter 12 and it talks about encroachments and what that means. And they can literally require an entity to remove that encroachment. Well, we're not here to, I'm just telling you, the legislature and the past legislature has made it very clear that this is important stuff. And keeping it is very important. So therefore, if working together, we can, it requires more of the county because of this encroachment because right now it's not good. He took me down there yesterday and I've seen, I've been up and down these roads in these counties years and years. And I saw that this is not a good situation. And whether it's 1 foot or more, you are making it even worse. And the ability of maintenance in chapter 12, the statute that I've provided here, absolutely grants them the right, the reasonable right to maintain their embankments, to maintain their diversions, to maintain whatever is necessary in a reasonable manner. Well, 1 foot is going to actually add to that. And so I would hope that everyone could then work together so that we have a common solution, but it's going to require, if the county is encroaching, in my opinion, my legal opinion, it's going to require that even though you say it's going to cost more for the county, I think it's the county's obligation to do so. Now, if they can get grant money, and boy, let me tell you, in the last couple of years, with the Biden administration and everything else, we have had flood of these additional funds. And one can argue politically one way or another, I'm not going to argue that, but they've been available. And thank heavens, a lot of us have been able to benefit from that. And if we can still do so, then let's work together and do it. So, and especially when you talk about a levied canal, and I always worry about levied canals, but in this particular case, it's more than a levied canal, because levied canal literally means the water's, the water's higher than the road. So therefore, we have to make sure we have, they're duty bound to make sure that that embankment contains the water. And they're also duty bound to carry sufficient water for their members. I've had other commissioners and other people say, well, they just flow less. Well, they're obligated to do the whole amount. They can't not do it. And so, but in this particular case, it even goes beyond the levied one. It goes on the non-levied one, because that's even more dangerous for traffic, because at least a levied one theoretically will stop a car from maybe from diving into the canal. A non-levied, it's almost certain. So anyway, I'm here not, I want you to know, I'm not here to say we'll litigate this. I'm here to make sure that everyone understands that we've got two very important statutes, yours and the canals, that are basically running against each other. And if we don't do anything, arguably it could be said, well, we just have to live with it, even though we're over it. But you are the one that's doing the encroaching, not them. And for that reason alone, I believe that you have to address this with their help, and they're telling you today, and they've assured me that they want to work with whatever they can in doing that. So I stand for questions.
So where are the right of ways
Um,
exactly? I guess that's.
Name,
Oh, sorry.
address, and address the chair, please.
Okay. Do you want me to stand up? Sorry. Well, what was the name and address?
Your name, your address.
Spencer Graves, 1580 Brookview Road. I don't know.
And you're representing,
I'm with JV Engineers.
okay,
So
and you'd like to ask a question.
yeah, so what are the definitive right of ways, I guess? What, like, where does the county?
Whatever is reasonably necessary. That's all I can have. And it's been litigated in the Supreme Court. I could give you several Supreme Court cases.
No, and I don't need all that. I guess
Stay focused to
from the
this
designer's
one for
aspect, we're just,
during a long,
Okay.
long canal.
One person at a time, yeah.
where does the county's right of way stop and where does yours begin? Like, and what's reasonably, you know what I mean?
Well,
Because I don't know that we ever knew that during the design.
Therein is my point.
What's reasonably, I mean, what's reasonable?
that's my point, and that's what I've had to deal with up and down the basin. Because most counties don't appreciate or understand this because they haven't had to, and I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying, and so what it is whatever is reasonably necessary to maintain, to take equipment up and down, to stop and turn on and off, their diversions from that, to spray, to, you name it, it's all included in the statutes, and I can give you one of these copies. And if you look at the case laws that have been dealing with that, one most notably was New Sweden Irrigation District on the other side of the river that had a huge lawsuit on that one, and they had a 16-foot right of way.
It was a very small ditch too. It was
A
not.
16-foot wide right of way, and the Supreme Court upheld it. So if you want to talk about what the right of way could be if it's litigated, could it be 16 feet? Well, obviously, we're already encroaching, both of us.
So I guess that's so is the water company currently encroaching into you admitted yourself that you're not containing all the water currently, and that it is encroaching into that. I mean, where's the line? I think it's.
I don't think we're gonna get an answer to that question in this forum.
I could discuss that just
It's
a little.
a good question, but I don't think there's not a
Yeah.
line in the sand,
And I
because
guess,
it's clay and it's
you know,
underwater.
as equipment gets, and roadway is facing the same issue, right? Like equipment, semis are getting bigger. Ditch equipment, I'm sure is getting, I mean, as your equipment grows, now you've got bigger trucks. I mean, does the canal company's right of way become bigger as, oh, well, now we gotta get a bigger, you know, a super F550 truck, or, you know what I'm saying? Does that, I mean, reasonably, it could grow to however big you need.
And it certainly has. I mean, there used to be horses and, holding down, so clearly it's growing, but the statute allows for that. And yours does too. Like I say, let me make it clear, both of you have these rights. I'm not trying to take away from your right or their right. All I'm trying to say, he made the point, he didn't know it. And that's the problem. Most don't know that they have equal rights to the ones you're talking about. And right now they are overlapping. And if we don't do anything, then arguably both are blamed for never fixing it today. But when you encroach 1 foot, you now encroached further, and they would have a right to say, you've got to include us and you've got to take care of it.
But is
That's
that not
true.
encroaching?
Sorry.
Yeah, just a minute.
Okay, thank you. The same, both obviously have an encroachment issue. The fact that water in the canal is not being kept in the canal and is deteriorating the road is the fault of the canal company. And I think case law would indicate if you don't keep water where it's supposed to be, that's a problem.
On top of
But
subsurface has been ruled to be part of the canal.
okay, well, we won't get into semantics of it, if it's on the asphalt, it's not under. But you have a comment.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if, to answer his question, he's looking for kind of footage. Where did we go? And typically, it's 20 to 25 feet from the water's edge. So that gives you a rough guess. We're trying to do that, that work report and Judge Watkins. See that sweet case, that particular lateral carried 1,000 inches. And our canal carries 32,000 inches. But in a 1,000 inch lateral, he grew 16 feet in region. I mean, we're somewhere in that area. So to finish my comment, Mr. Chairman, throughout most of our canal area, on both sides, we're trying to establish 20 to 22 foot wide work platform so that we can get in there with the track hole. These new track holes are about 14 feet wide, just the tracks alone. And if you get a 14-foot track on a 16-foot right of way, it's water's in there 4 feet, 5 feet deep. It's pretty soft alongside of that bank for that track hole to be sitting there working on it. So we're trying to come through our whole canal line with approximately a 20 to 22 foot work platform to enable us safely to maintain the canal bank and so forth. Chairman, a few years back, we took down trees, and it was a dangerous thing. Taking a hold on power. When they're on power lines, it's now on. When they're standing up, then the property owners love trees, they don't, and it's a nightmare. That will happen again. And you have to use side dumps, you have to use track holes, you have to use equipment.
You have the right of way on both sides of the canal, that's correct?
That's correct.
Is there a way to utilize the other side of the canal to do the maintenance on this more so than on the road side?
Basically, we're trying to do that 22-foot line on both sides of the canal if we can. Most of these canals have, well, for example, we're talking about Harrison Canal on the county line. Most of the places have bridge things, laterals running off to the sides, ditches alongside of the south side of the canal. Even on the north side, I own property for about a mile through that section from 95th to 85th. And there's a ditch, the canal power line and a ditch that belongs to the other property, runs through my property along that side. And that's that big power line, that transmission line through there. So you're familiar with all of that. But that's what we're trying to do is come up with that work platform that's adequate for the size of equipment. Could we work it from the south side of the canal? The canal right there is 40 to 50 feet wide. That's
It's really wide.
really
and it's
big.
really shallow for most of it.
Yeah, it's about 4 feet.
And head gates come out both sides.
They do.
And answering your question, could you go the other side? There's again, case law. There's nothing more litigated than water. If you don't know that already, that's just what happens. But there's a case in Boise where the argument was, we want both sides to do this. And the Supreme Court said, but you haven't used that other side and you've been doing fine on this side. And therefore with the new track hose and everything else and excavators, you can deal with it from this side, and they wouldn't allow that, and the private property owners prevailed. So they haven't been using the other. Why? Because they've had the right of way on this side and used this side. They've established their rights on this side. I would fear that as a property owner, one would say, not on my land, you won't, any more than in keeping your bank in place, but not using the excavators if it's not necessary. If it's absolutely necessary, the Supreme Court said you can. But if you could get from one side to the other and you haven't used the other side historically, then that's kind of how the ruling came down. So we're kind of stuck. That's the problem.
So let me ask one question. What would a pause for a year to try to work this out together and look for more money? I mean, I think the Harrison Canal Board is open to participating in some degree of moving the canal. Now, we don't have a budget like the county.
We don't.
And we're struggling to do everything we need to
So
do.
you have money?
Well,
We could buy the hamburgers.
They were worried about hiring me, let me put it that way.
but we would look for some money if we could to help facilitate all of the changes that would have to take place on the south side of the canal. And potentially, I would maybe suspect we could even get some money to build some bridges. And you desperately need some bridges coming off the county line into Bonneville County.
Yes, we do.
And I mean, we would put a full court press on trying to see if we could come up with something. Can we guarantee anything? The answer is obviously no. But we just are really concerned about the safety thing. I mean, I saw that when we lost our long-term water master, he decided to flake out on us after 25 years. And we hired a new one. And the first thing that happened is deer left him. I thought he was gonna quit. And it's not easy now to find employees that have to go to a job every day. If they think that there's gonna be a danger factor there, they're just not willing to take. And I don't see how anybody can argue that you can take another foot or 2 feet or 3 feet or whatever from those areas where the water master has pulled out and stopped to go and service those gates without that being an encroachment.
Okay, just to be accurate, we're talking about 1 foot, not 3.
I
1
thought
foot
I
on
heard
either side is 1 foot on either side.
Either side of the road.
Thank you for.
And that's the pavement. To permit
Places
free
there
flow
where water
of
master.
traffic for the line that says not to impede. It's a problem that, let's see, on Crowley Road, we put it all underground.
It's a big tube for Harrison.
Yeah, it is, because it's a big canal, but it's a wide canal because it's not a deep canal. I know, because I used to swim in it all the time.
I do.
Best place to go floating, but we're gonna have to work together on it, and if it's a dig in our heels and throw rocks at each other, then it gets caught up in court for 5 years, and the road doesn't get fixed, and neither does the canal, and that doesn't accomplish any good for anybody. So the road surface has got to be fixed. I don't know if you've actually driven down County Line Road and know how bad that road is from all the semi-traffic.
Oh,
Now, it'd be nice if
we're up and down there.
if Department of Transportation would get their eggs together and finish the I-15, 2026 interceptor so that we didn't have all those semis going where they shouldn't go. But
I'd like to ask one other question and maybe present this as a discussion matter. If we approach these grants cooperatively, is there benefit to that? And maybe that's where we need to ask the
certainly there is.
legal counsel.
No question.
If they approach it from the same aspect, or we go in and approach a grant aspect and
Coming
request.
together would be the best.
And if you get Jefferson County to sign on and
Even better.
I'd say they're in favor of it too. And the other canals, is that all those 2 canals? That waterway?
We're the largest. We
Enterprises and Riley just crosses, it really isn't much impact on that one, but Farmers Friend and Harrison.
I mean, obviously, we need to, there's things that need to be done. That road surface got to be fixed.
That does, absolutely.
And that's got to be done. And it doesn't make sense to fix it without fixing the base under it. And if we're fixing the base under it, and you guys need the clay, that's a really sensible, I don't know how you work that out. I don't know where, how, but that's one of those things that need to be worked out. This is still in the engineering phase, hasn't gone to bid yet. So this is a really timely discussion. I would see it. Question is how we move forward in a timely fashion. with this discussion.
If you move forward with the project now to do some of the road work, does that inflict any problems with the grant for a better settlement later? Do you follow what I mean?
Mr. Chairman, I am not, I have people to do my grant writing. There are
I
certain
would
things that
think
still
we're
take.
separating enough that that wouldn't be an issue. Just my experience with grants and wording.
We worked on the Great Beaver Headgate, and Bonneville and Jefferson were implicated, more Jefferson than Bonneville, but we didn't get the grant to do that until Jefferson County signed off on the overall project. I think it would be, I think you'd open yourself up to grant money being tagged as just a breach for the county if we didn't go together. I think it would have more force, more impact if we all went together and said, we have aging bridges, we have aging structures, we have a road problem, we have a safety problem, and we're trying to bundle this all and move forward.
We would disagree with that.
In my conversation, I should not pronounce with the names, but with the person from Department of Water Resources that anyway, we could, some of these grants, we're up to like $15 million to do some of this stuff, but there's quite a bit of hoops to jump through. And I'm supposed to have another phone conversation with her in about a week. They were at a meeting in Boise. I contacted her. And how do you want to proceed?
So I think if you already have contacts for these types of grants, they're not the normal types of grants that I would look for and apply under. They're completely a different department, different everything. But I don't think there's any harm in having you go through that grant process and having the county write a letter of support for going after some grant money to accomplish widening the canal or piping the canal or doing a bridge or any of that stuff. And I'm more than supportive of you going after grants and writing that letter of support. I don't know how I would do it myself just because a government entity applying for the grants.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah,
How
those
do we
things
work
to be
this?
done on, the grant needs to be done on that side, because we're gonna know what we can do, but we can't support those kind of grants.
I think what I'm hearing you say though is this project's going forward one way or the other.
What I'm saying is,
Going
we've gotta fix the asphalt. Okay, what we,
You're not asking us to halt the project.
I really am asking you to give us time to see if we can bundle this into one project and move the canal halfway.
You're asking us to delay it, but you're not saying you guys just need to not fix this road.
Oh, that's not at all.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
We're totally in favor of what you do.
Yeah, and if we don't get the money found to move the canal, I think you could move that canal and use half of it as it exists. And then move it, just basically take half from the north, move it to the south, and then bundle that with bridges, structures, realignment of ditches. And then that solves the question of an encroachment issue for our water master and our maintenance and all of that at the same time. If you go ahead with the project as you've got it designed, then I
not
think,
scheduled yet, so.
well, what I'm saying is.
But that's why we want to be here.
Yeah, no, that's the time.
If you do that and then we fail to get the grant, then I think we're gonna be right back here talking about what are we gonna do to provide for a pullout for the water master? What are we gonna do when we decide we have to take trees down again? How do we spray those things how do we maintain those banks if you're touching the bank with pavement?
I would just say, and this is just my opinion from being at the EMPO meetings and looking at long-term plan for County Line Road, right? I would say that if we're going to halt and say, okay, we're not gonna do the pavement project this year, we're gonna work with the canal company to try to figure something out. We probably need as part of that to look at what do we expect this road to be in 20 to 30 years, as you mentioned, to make sure that we get the encroachment problem solved for the long run and not just to do this pavement project, because the fact of the matter is, if Jefferson County keeps growing the way that they are and Riordan keeps growing, at some point that road's probably going to at least need to be a 3-lane section, right? So
3-lane or
more, depending on what happens. So I would just say if we're gonna step back, we probably need to, as the fix, look at, let's fix this, not for today, let's fix this, so if this needs to become a 5-lane section in 20 years, we've got the right of way and we're not gonna deal with the encroachment. But I also don't think you accomplish that without getting Jefferson County involved, because truthfully, they have half of the roadway, we just have the maintenance of it, so.
By the way, I think you guys got the short end of the stick on that.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
There's more room on the other side.
is it correct, there's a written agreement as to maintenance you on this side and then on that side, is that?
there's a maintenance agreement for stretches of County Line Road in Jefferson County.
Okay,
Our portion is from 50/50 east out towards Ryrie.
does that come with all of the expenses and costs of what you're talking about here? It's all on you, and not on
Yeah,
Jefferson?
but Jefferson County has from 55th going west
Sure.
through a large portion of that out towards the river.
You've got Harrison Canal, they've got Harrison Canal on their side, all the way,
It's much more small.
it's way small, but
But they also have a power line on their side.
They do.
Great transmission line.
And by the way, that's another problem here, we've got this big power line put in on the north side.
So how do you want, I was hydraulics question for you. Because I simply don't know why, I understand how levees work and how water levels work, but I don't understand why that section, you have a really wide, really shallow canal instead of a really deep canal that's much narrower.
It's a simple question, really, because if you narrow it up, you're gonna levy it higher.
Not if you dig it deeper.
If you dig it deeper, then
Water finds its own level.
it won't come out of the gates properly. Clearly, it was not done, it was not built in 1890, which is our priority date, our largest priority date. It was not built with engineers and all of that.
The sticks and strings and rocks and levels and
If you dig it deeper though,
Drag
that
lines.
comes with another set of problems. It does.
Idaho Canal is much deeper and much narrower.
Well, Idaho Canal is probably larger than ours, first of all, and then they also don't have the gravel that we have. They've got better soil, some lava rock. Idaho Canal deals with some lava rock and stuff too.
I just, understand. I know it's gonna cost less, it's easier to maintain, but
if we could dig it deep, we could do that. But the problem is, in order to get it out on the land, then we have to back the water out in the canal. So it just makes a much greater size volume of water down in that canal base. We still have to raise the level to gravitationally push it out of the canal onto those fields.
you're gonna raise it beyond where it currently is.
No, but you have to raise it to that level. We can't, even if we dug it deeper, it still has to raise to that, and it puts more pressure against the canal face to do so.
And when water gets high, then you'll be below the siphon part
Exactly.
of what's needed. So that'd be requiring pumping from the bottom of the canal or individual versions.
The other factor there too is it flows very fast through there. It really does. And that's great because it stops the moss problems. But there's about a 16-foot elevation drop per mile through that section.
To where?
Right around down there.
Yeah, how far is it?
I don't know how far down, oh, it's just not.
It's not 17 mile, that's the draw.
The elevation change in my, I have two potato stones right through my canal. And then 300 feet, it drops 1 foot level. Just on standard elevation. So with that flow, if you dig it deeper, by the time you get down a little further into the canal, you've got to back it up really high to push it out, and the pressure is really great into the sides of the banks, just because of that damming effect. And so it's much better to just have it flow smoothly through the thing and come out just a little above the ground to push out instead of trying to kind of back up first. But we still have checks, that's why we have checks, is to back it up, stop the flow of the canal, and dam it off, so we run out of supply our patients.
I think it'd be fair to say that the elevation of the farms dictates the elevation of the one.
Yes, very accurate. Yes.
Does the engineers have any more questions?
We'll chat last.
Okay.
So we've done some of the canal irrigation.
So on the areas of the water during the high season is up on the asphalt.
Seeping through the cracks.
And the water's elevated above the pavement in some spots on it.
Yeah, it's 11 canal.
Yeah.
So on the ocean, we're up there, but, so it's not free flowing canal water, it's sea boost is running up against the, that wants to pull off and check his stuff. You can stand a lot where it doesn't stand.
Sometimes when the car goes in the canal, dams up the bridge or chat, we have water on it. Or if big log, something blowing, the winds from
Or
it.
some kid flowing down the beach in his mom's wash tub gets stuck in the corner in the middle of the road.
All of that can happen.
Well, I do have, with regard to maintenance, I do have another question. So this is a picture of County Line Road at 85th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on the next page, you'll see concrete structure that is underneath extending beyond the bridge, and it's in really poor shape.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring that up is Harrison Canal Company intending to work on that concrete anytime soon?
Right at it.
That's right at it.
Yeah, oh yeah, we've talked about it, we're reserving money for
I'm
that.
trying to build up that money.
Because I have crews out there that has been doing some work underneath the bridge, but this is beyond the bridge, and I was just asked about that the other day as far as.
That divide structure, Lance, is kind of the second most important structure on our system. The most important one is up on the Great Peter, the main head gate. That's the second most important one. And we did a Band-Aid on it 20 years ago. So upstream from the bridge, we poured concrete, but we knew that it was aging, and so we don't really know how we're gonna have to approach that. We were gonna plan on meeting with you to decide if that bridge should be replaced as part of that structure being rebuilt. So.
And I will tell you directly that if I go through a type of grant system that I have available now for bridges, it doesn't meet the criteria, because I've looked at this before and I can't get funding for it from the highway side to replace that bridge. I will also say that looking at canal structures right now, through those programs, that structure, just the bridge, is probably close to $2 million.
When you say you can't get grant money for it, or are you saying that's because it's tied to the irrigation?
No, I'm tied, it is because it is not posted for load and the
It's
condition.
not bad enough yet.
Yeah, it's not bad enough yet. It's not bad enough yet for me to actually go out there and get resources dedicated to it. And it's a terrible thing to say, because it just is. Monroe County has over the past few years been pretty successful at getting money for bridges. Right now, we're replacing 4 in the county, including one at 55th. But each of those bridges has been close to $2 million.
Again, we would have no way to disagree or say wrong, anything else, other than we do know that if you just fix the road the way it is, widen it a foot, in 5 years from now, you're gonna be wondering, what do we do now? I think.
I agree wholeheartedly. We need a long-term plan for fixing this.
That's structure right
And not a
now.
long-term plan to get it fixed, but a plan to fix it that's gonna last for the 30 years. That, and I agree with Austin, our planning and zoning director, that Jefferson County is gonna have the building boom because it's stretched across the borders to the north.
Their restrictions are way less than ours right now in development.
So you had a.
Yes, I just wanted to ask on your 55th bridge, are you, designing that adequately to add like 3 lanes across it later on, or?
Yes,
Okay, I was just wondering, how's your intention on Harrison's side, where it comes in and then goes underneath? You gonna
so
move it to
that
the
box,
south?
that box structure extends lengthier than what it is now and turns, and it does allow for in the future at least a 3-lane road.
Okay.
Was that bridge
That's-
dilapidated to the point where grant money was easy?
Yes, it was.
That was a new bridge.
It was posted and there were some scour problems with it that we don't have in other areas. So that would make the criteria this one.
This divide structure, I think would probably be our showcase approach for a grant. I mean, that's got totally dilapidated concrete, it's in full failure, it's got new concrete that was put above the bridge. I think if you incorporate all of that into one, that's probably something that would receive some very serious attention on a grant. Maybe including the bridge in total, I don't know.
That would be wonderful. I know from the highway transportation side, I can't get funding for it. I've tried. But from your side, irrigation side, by all means, I will support you 100% to get that fixed, to widen it out, to allow for trucks to be able to use it better, so.
But again, before you build that kind of a structure, you better know what you're gonna do with the canal long term. If you're gonna go south,
And what we're doing with the road, because the road's gonna be 5 lanes, it doesn't do any good to
start building
fix
bridges.
it for a 2-lane that's too narrow as it is.
Even
So-
though there's controversy about the expressway on the south. And this is the same type, if we start talking about a 5-lane,
It's only 2.5 lanes for us.
I have to renegotiate that.
So what's the next step?
Yeah.
Keeping the communications open and helping you guys with everything we need to pursue a grant.
Just a pause, because again,
Well, this is timely because we're not actually taking action, so.
So if we want to pause this before we go out to bid,
When are you planning on going out to bid?
January, but because of this discussion of
Oh,
this year,
okay.
the design is very close to being able to go out to bid. But we won't do that if that's the direction from the commissioners, is like, hold off for a little while. Allow the canal district to go and at least approach some different things. what we will do is we'll try to finish up the design as much as we have so that we could go out to bid when we're kind of given that, okay, we've approached our aspects, we can or we can't or whatever. Delaying now probably means that nothing's gonna happen this year. You delay it and you possibly look at going out to bid in November, December of 2025. That would probably be a better time to bid than any time past April or May because the contractors are too busy.
What do you see the consequences, Lance, of delaying?
The consequences are that road, we've put a significant amount of effort into trying to keep it drivable. And you just,
That'll divert traffic pretty quick, right?
it is closed right
They
now.
won't blame it on us, the truck can't use it.
Yeah, I mean, we put a significant amount of effort on the putting blade patches on there in the last couple of years. And delaying it means that we continue to have to put blade patches on and put money on there as a true Band-Aid fix that's not a long-term, make the road service drivable for years and years. That's the biggest downside.
My question, what's gonna do the road surface? Which, you know, later.
Yesterday, the road looked pretty good, Lance, and I think the patchwork you did do was actually
Patchwork is holding up pretty good. There was a lot of effort to get it to that point. It was, when it was falling apart,
that was horrible.
it was almost down to a gravel road in a few places.
He suggested once they just plow the path off and just slow the trucks down.
Potholes do slow traffic down. They also put cars in canals.
So sure do. You want a funny story? Yeah. Um, 4 or 5 years ago, somebody was scoring from a wrestling match in Ryrie, coming down County Line Road. Car, they came just over that bridge in my place and somehow lost control of the car, went over the bank and landed at the bottom of the canal. Upright, no problem, didn't even damage the car. And they couldn't figure out where they were, and they just kept driving on this rough road down the bottom of that canal until they got to the following check, which was at least a half mile down the road. And then they thought, wait, what is this? Where are we? And so they backed up the canal, backed in front of my place again, climbed out of the canal and came over and asked me, we don't even know how we got here. And it was dark, it was late at night, it was snow on the
Just tell
road.
me it was snowing. At
It was,
least
there
then,
was snow on the road and it was snowing that night and kind of foggy, and, but they didn't even know how they got there. And, anyway, no injuries, thank goodness.
how they keep the car back out.
Actually, her husband came along the next day and saw it and asked me if I
I
would.
wonder if you told him, she told him about it.
Yeah, she called, he came to pick her up at our house that night, so. Anyway, I went out with my loader and we hooked onto it, just pulled it over the side and lifted it over and carefully got it back on the road and drove it home.
You know, that's pretty amazing.
It was. Anyway,
All right, well,
thank
thank you very much for your input.
Fix this.
Very much appreciate the
Yeah.
opportunity to speak, and I've
And
done this with other commissioners, and we've always been able to work it out. I hope we can this one as well.
contact me with some, who would I contact for some information? You? Okay, so you'll be the contact person with these, yeah, with grants and talking to those people and so forth.
Well, I can help you out with talking a little bit. I can look through your documents with you. I can maybe help fill out information. I can write letters of support. I can't do it all for you. So.
Well, we can't get the, if we don't have that kind of support, there's no way we're gonna get that kind of funding.
Now, would you have somebody on the Jefferson County side that's able to?
No, not yet, because they think it's your responsibility and problem, so
That may be something we'll need you to weigh
you
in.
may have to talk
And
about.
I can talk with Jefferson County.
Yeah.
I can
And
talk
Lance
with
over
the
county
road
clerk.
supervisor, so.
Yeah.
If you can work through that situation, that would be very, very good for us to.
Are we to understand then that we are gonna do this pause? Is that?
Well, that's the question I have is, do we want to pause this for a certain amount of time?
I think we're gonna ask a few more questions and then I'd be more comfortable if our third commissioner was here to offer his opinion as well, so I'd like to have a discussion with him.
John, do you hear me?
No, I didn't know that you were up there, Carl.
Yeah, I've been here. I've heard the whole discussion. And I would be in agreement with putting it on pause and researching those other methods of financing that project. So
Lance, do you see any reason, do we need to delay making that decision or?
I don't. I am worried about the traveling public and I don't want that road to fall apart worse than it is. And I don't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to continue to blade patch that road. If we can go in and do the improvement that we've talked about. Delaying that 6 months or a year, I don't think is a drastic halt to that. It just, I don't want it to delay it for years and years because that's where none of us come out ahead.
Waited a year or two before even moving on to get the engineering done.
Not from my. That
No, that wasn't
but
you.
Yeah.
It's a substantial budgetary issue.
It is.
So-
Road tax
We
doesn't,
don't want to.
gas tax doesn't pay for this, so
We don't want to
this is
see. money
taxpayer
go away.
dollars.
We need the money that's set aside to add to any grant money that we're able to bring together to make it happen. So we're not wanting this to go 5 years or 2 years. We'll know something within one.
Well, I'm just trying to clarify, I think we're okay to decide to delay at least 6 months
Yes, I think so.
till the fall.
Yeah. But I think in the fall, I want to kind of to go out to bid and it'll probably, it'll be in the spring somewhere in 2026 that we look at truck.
So it looks like most of these grant funds through water resources and IWRP are available. I mean, the application deadlines are like July or August. So they probably don't know if they're awarding money until closer to the fall.
There's
I
also,
would guess.
there's also some grant money we think available, your recommendation.
I would also
Like
kind of.
November is a terrible time if for a summer project.
There was some comment by I talked to. About some participating funding. So they would buy 60% and we have to go to 44% or something to that. This was just preliminary discussion. So from rural restoration. Aging construction. So there again, part of your funds participate with that we can build bridges when they incorporate it.
And right. That's federal grant side of it. State side of it is, listen to the governor's state. And what we've been working with the water board has significant amount of money now to run these programs that they never had. I was on the water board for 16 years and I would have salivated one. It is now what they have now. But it's because the state finally realized that these aging infrastructure, water is so precious. that they're putting their mouth where, I mean, the money where the mouth is. And it's a good thing. The water board has had significant funds now, so that would be a good source. So you got federal and state.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, sounds like we're in agreement, we'll hold off for 6 months. On course, running section. Our goals are 6 works. Looks like the heroes deadline, it's like March 15th. Okay.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Cheers. Back to the storage pictures. Wagon path in so that they put that out. They was like mine, they started what I got the other. Ran with the survey stuff. What's it called? Dig, drag, mule through it's off the back.
Wow.
Catch rock,
Scoop, drag.
Yeah. Catch rock. It's all three the other way. Hey, thanks. That attention.
Can it all be widened up as part of the project? There really aren't that many
The
structures.
canal's plenty wide. And their math doesn't hold true. You make it deeper there as long as it's not. There's all kinds of places the canals go down, under, and up on that side, and they're at the same level on both sides, and they still have the headwater they need on that side to get, even though the canal is really deep right here. And if they've got 16 feet in that mile, then, and there's some sections they could make it 8 feet deeper, narrow it out, contain their volume as long as it's not right where they have their diversion. That's hydraulics. Water system. We'll get there.
Eventually, water goes uphill towards money.
Eventually it goes the top of trees. Live tree, it's getting all the way to the top of them.
So, can I ask a question? What does it do to our reserves for this project to delay it this long? Is that going to be any sort of issue?
No,
We haven't budgeted to spend that yet because it's
money
that
is in the budget to spend,
Right.
but if we don't expend that, it goes back into the reserve.
Okay.
So it doesn't go away.
Okay. That's just my question.
At the end of each year, depending on what the spending was, reserves can go away if a department or a fund goes over budget in other areas. Because at the end of the year, whatever that ending balance is in the fund, that's all we have to reserve at that point.
Right.
We have, so the sheriff's office did that a little bit this last year because we had reserved 800,000 for radios. That was the original reserve amount. They ended up using it on land, but they spent 876,000 instead of the 800,000. But all that did was it reduced the next year's amount that was available to reserve.
Much like my own budget.
Yeah, it was just exactly the same way.
just not like the federal budget.
I shouldn't have gone to Nordstrom's. Okay,
Next is we have a conditional acceptance of Iowa road improvements. The CBI off-road, built a new office building just there down from the gas station on Iowa, off home. They have some improvement, very minor improvements along Iowa that they needed to be put in as part of that.
Been done for quite some time, we just lack getting the paperwork in.
Yeah.
Are you ready for us to sign
I
it?
kindly told them,
We typically have, typically have them at least initial it, so. Probably find your name for it.
Well, it actually will if you say so.
we must be doing something else.
He's on mute.
I copy that. Yeah, sorry, my technology is challenged.
He can, yeah, that's fine, he can.
What's that?
He wants them to stamp it.
Oh, I'd like to copy.
I stamp your name.
Thank you.
Ashley, would you pull up that PDF? Gonna talk to you about another road project that we've got some decisions that may need to be made as far as how we design it. This is 49th North, and on 49th North, kind of some background here. The school district is gonna put in an elementary school along it. And they were needing to move some power lines. They didn't want to pay Rocky Mountain Power to move the power lines. And so through a lot of working together with the developers and the school district in Bonneville County has gone out to design and hired an engineering firm and is designing the road improvements on 49th North to make it a 5-lane arterial road. One of the questions that's come up about that is, do we build it similar to the 5-lane section we did on 45th East with really wide sidewalks? Or do we put in the standard sidewalk on each side of 5 foot? How it affects things is there at the top. If we have a 10-foot wide sidewalk, every time there's a power pole, you have to take the sidewalk out and around it. But to get a 10-foot wide sidewalk, that's where it needs to be. So do you put a 5-foot wide sidewalk instead of a 10-foot wide sidewalk? And you have the 5-foot wide sidewalk, it misses all those telephone poles.
Where?
49th North, the whole mile of road that.
Which side?
Both, well.
They don't
So
have power poles on
they're
both
not
sides.
gonna, so this would be, the power poles are gonna be moved onto the north side of the road.
Right.
And so you would have a 10-foot sidewalk with jut outs on the north side of the road.
We have no people or developments yet.
Yes,
So why don't we put a 5-foot wide sidewalk on that side? The 8-foot wide sidewalk on the other side.
and we can do that, it changes the looks and aesthetics and designs a little bit, but that's why I'm here asking some opinions almost, it's like,
Why
do
don't
we
we
wanna?
asphalt the bike path on that side instead of putting cement there so that when they do their developments and it eventually has development all along there and they have to put in their sidewalks, they can do that. If we don't have cement that we're taking back out, we still have a functional bike path,
We can do that too.
which we costs us less than a fourth of what the cement costs.
What would be in between the road and the sidewalk if you did 5 foot?
Yeah.
What did you say?
That's
Or
my,
gravel,
that's
or
my
10-foot
concern.
So is the sidewalk on the outside of the poles?
No, this is
Or on the
on
inside?
the inside of the poles.
So road, curb gutter, sidewalk, poles.
No, well, so back of curb, you see where back of curb is? Then there's a 5-foot buffer, and then there's the sidewalk. That buffer is for snow storage.
And because you don't want sidewalks next to roads that have a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit.
That'll be 40, but yeah. You want separation there.
So that it's harder for kids to hit pedestrians.
A little bit harder.
I mean, my only thing is I hate to see it look like 45th, where you end up with these weird little strips behind the sidewalk and in between the developer's fence at the edge of right of way that just fill up with weeds. We've already been down that road on 45th since we did it, so I mean, I know the shut's more work, but I would say if you can get that to basically where it would butt up to if they're doing a development, it's
So
gonna
we're using
be
cement
better
to
maintained.
control the landscaping instead of washed rock like we did never get put in along 45th.
They could do that too, it's
Because of
just,
the cost. That
it's
was a
just
cost.
maintenance forever, right? You still gotta spray the weeds and,
Sterilize it.
yeah.
10-foot sidewalk on 45th has been a problem with snow removal.
Next to
Vinyl
the-
fences right behind the sidewalks. You can't. In order to put the snow unless you bring it into the road, I guess.
So who plows those?
They just put a wing down and they get about half the sidewalk.
So the county actually
The
does do
county
that.
has,
I wondered that, cause I've seen them cleared, but I wondered if people were just going out with their
there's some people
plows.
that actually have done it with their plows, but it's not consistent.
So half of the 5-foot sidewalk or half of the 10-foot sidewalk?
Half the 10-foot sidewalk.
10 foot.
on
So if we did a
45th.
5, in theory, we'd be able to plow it all.
So the 10-foot one we have,
No, we still have that buffer in there, and so you're not gonna be able to reach across the buffer and get the 5-foot sidewalk.
still on the 10-foot, we have 5-foot of dirt between the,
Yes, you still
so
do.
we have the
but
same
it's a
dirt patch
Yes,
all the way down.
but on the 5-foot, you have it on front and back of the sidewalk.
I think either would be fine. I just think we need, as part of the plan, we need some kind of maintenance plan, so we don't have the least problem.
Outside, so that it's easy to maintain.
Maintaining it.
Costs you quite a bit less. 5-foot sidewalk versus a 10. So.
How
Right,
much
right.
less?
When it comes to maintenance of these sidewalk, the expert. I wish I had a great solution for it. We don't
What's
have
the
it.
cost of running a foot for cement? For 10-foot sidewalk, I know, we did those numbers 4 years ago.
Off the top of my head, get that information to you.
Hmm.
We can get that information
Yeah.
to you.
I mean, cost wise, again, if you go 5-foot versus 10-foot, it's half the cost. I mean, but I don't have a per lineal foot or per square foot cost. The challenge I see is if you put in a 10-foot wide path, whether it's asphalt or concrete, and you have every power pole like this.
It's gonna be harder, more work.
Yeah.
Probably will be more expensive, I would guess. but-
I don't know that it's gonna be more expensive, but it's gonna be harder to maintain forever. And it doesn't look very planned for.
How wide are those poles?
Though, most of those poles are probably gonna be 24-inch diameter poles.
Big trees from Canada.
So could you put, I mean, basically with what you're showing with the 5.
They don't want,
They don't
Rocky
want-
Mountain Power doesn't want the concrete right up to the pole. Cause then they can't work on it. It has to be 3 feet away is what they're wanting.
I don't know, I can't just do a 5 foot sidewalk up myself. but
What is next to it? What's adjacent to it right now? As far as sidewalks go.
Nothing.
So,
let's put in sidewalks in the county where there have never been sidewalks.
so if we do this here, it's likely to follow.
Well,
So at 45th East, it will join on to that sidewalk that will continue down 45th East.
Okay.
But out in this locale right now, there's sidewalks internal to Crow Creek. But that's the only sidewalk anywhere close.
right, and the school says students will be going to that. school
It's really
north
probably
side of
mostly
49.
working on the school side.
That's what they say. They don't need crosswalks into there.
That's
Students go
what they
that
say.
way.
Yeah.
I never heard the yet. That's what they say, but they also say that on Thunder Ridge, all the students were supposed to walk across at Ladino and not at Greenville. All,
Not cut across the seminary.
well, they didn't say that, but I knew that they were gonna cut across the seminary, but they didn't get there, but. It's just, when they're laying out the
Arnold
section,
still there? Do you have an opinion on this?
I mean, it's always nice to spend less money. But how big are the ramifications? Are we gonna spend less money now and more forever into the future in trying to maintain it or not?
Well, we're maintaining that dirt strip anyway.
Right,
just a smaller dirt strip. It's more up front to get more concrete. You're still gonna have an ongoing maintenance issue
Dirt patches around every one of the power poles anyway.
one way or another.
I think the 10 foots are really nice as far as for pedestrians and people using them because they have a lot more clearance room, right? If you got a biker and somebody walking, but that's really the only pro to it probably is just them having more room.
More room, except for the location of
Yeah.
power poles.
Yeah, then you got a neck down at all those,
Yeah.
so it's,
I mean, they're what, 400 feet apart?
Yeah.
500 feet apart. So it's not like you don't have a lot of room, but it just.
So I know you don't like
on
it,
the
but
plan,
if we asphalt that side, how close can the asphalt be?
They still want at least 2 foot clearance.
so what's a 5-foot sidewalk like this?
It's pretty close. 5
So
foot
this
is
is
the
about
standard, yeah, 5 foot is the standard sidewalk about anywhere.
Do we anticipate foot and bike traffic being too much within the 30 years? Within the next 30 years to be accommodated in 5 feet?
Good question. I don't know that I have a definitive answer. What I will tell you is 49th North is becoming a major east-west arterial road through this section. So I don't know that we want to encourage that much pedestrian bicycle traffic on this road because it will be a 40 or 45 mile an hour road section intending to move vehicles, not necessarily pedestrians.
We don't have it in place to move pedestrians and bikes.
45th all the way from street to.
I think it will. I think the sidewalk on the south side of the road will be used heavily because of the school.
Right.
So that's just,
I think on the north side,
I think you could do this 10 on the south side to get more room, and I think you'd probably be okay with the lesser on the north side to avoid the poles, but.
And when those developments go in,
Well,
upgrade that, the development, upgrade that across from the development.
They could, but if with 49th North being a major arterial, we're not gonna encourage having a school crossing there, so that side of the road shouldn't be.
There should be having connections to the
Yeah.
school.
but we don't want the school side sidewalk being used so much that people are being pushed out.
Yeah, that's true.
So I guess that's my question, is it, you know, is
We
it
don't
going
have
to be
any crosswalks
sufficient
in
for
Ohio.
that?
We don't have any crosswalks, nor are we intending to put crosswalks across 49th North. You'll have them probably at the intersections, which eventually will probably be signalized intersections.
So what do you think of Austin's idea of school side doing the 10-foot, not school side doing the 5-foot? Is that a big problem for you?
No.
Or?
It's not. I see pros and cons both ways, but doing it where we have a wider pathway, wider sidewalk on the south where the school is, I think it's a good idea. It costs more money upfront.
Well, less money than doing both sides is 10-foot.
Yes,
Well, and I think then too, you're tying in where we have 45th is 10 foot, and we haven't done that other side of 45th yet, so you could always continue to fight there, but it's at least consistent with what we've already done, so.
aesthetically, I think it looks much more planned if we don't have jet arrows around every power pole.
So you're saying you think aesthetically the 5-foot sidewalk is more.
On the north side. On the south side, I think having a wider 10-foot pathway is a great thing for the pedestrians in that area. And you will have people walking on 49th North to get to the school, regardless of what the school says, that they won't go on turn.
And nobody crosses the road, we don't have crosswalk.
But even with parking at the school, you know, you think about the spill out from along the school boundaries on those sidewalks, at least I do, of kids dispersing.
Well, there won't be any parking on 49th North or any parent drop off on 49th North.
Oh,
There's no access except for a bus access on 49th North. And that's why they put in the gate at the bus access to make sure that only buses can use it, not parents.
there's no rules anymore, everybody's special. Has to follow the signs. I like Allison's idea of the bigger one on the school side and the smaller one on the other, matching up to the bigger one, but do you need a decision today?
I want giving some direction to the engineer. It's not as much of a hard fast decision as it's like, yeah, this probably looks better. It was not only it's a discussion item, and that's why it's a
Okay.
discussion item. The other thing is whether we try to come down to a 3-lane tie-in at Ammon Road, or we try to come in as a 5-lane tie-in at Ammon Road. Eventually, it's gonna be the 5-lane, but right now, it's just you neck down because it's only 3-lane north and south, and further west from here, we've actually got plans, if they ever do it, it'll be cul-de-sac off, and you won't be able to go through.
T intersections. If they ever get around the beach's corner.
There we go.
What does the 5-lane benefit you? What lane do you get just a straight into?
You don't have a dog. So you get the left turn movement, the right turn movement, and a through lane movement. On this one, on here, you have the left and the through together.
Really do some goodness, we have a dedicated right turn off of Hammond and a dedicated
I would say
right
for
turn off of.
traffic safety reasons, you almost not want the straight lane, just because of how that tees into Yellowstone,
Yeah,
depending on when that changes, but.
and how fast it changes, the I-15, US 20 and the connector across, whether it could be 10 years or it could be more. My belief is the 3-lane section there, the smaller section probably works for 10 years plus. And at the point of time of this connector coming across 49th North on the other side of Highway 26, you tie that into the
Well,
overall.
I would still think though, you just think because really, if you can't go straight, if that's a cul-de-sac.
Well, you'll still be able to go
Well, I
straight,
guess you
but it'll
could.
be what, 400, 500 feet. You don't want to encourage that straight through.
And there's no sense in having 2 lanes there that are both turn lanes.
Yeah.
You can't have 2 lanes.
Left turn lanes.
Yeah,
It's just
you're not
tricky
gonna
because of
have-
how it ties into Hammond right now.
Yeah, it is,
Unless
because it's right on the
Unless-
corner too, so.
take it to 4 lanes and have the left turn and right turn
And
straight through.
that's almost more problematic to have the 4 than either the 5 or the 3.
Controlled intersection, is that gonna be fully stopped?
Good question.
Yeah, that whole intersection probably needs to change,
It's gonna have to be.
but I don't,
When the,
we're
when
not
the,
looking at that.
when
as
the
part of this
49th
project.
connector
Can't be
comes
traffic.
through, it's gonna be,
Traffic backs up through that intersection and the traffic light at Beach's corner right now, so.
yeah,
That's just, I mean, I drive, that's the way I come to work every morning, and
So what do
the
you think?
two movements you primarily see are right and left.
yeah.
And if people are trying to go straight, it's because they're trying to beat the signal at Beach's corner, which is
Never
totally
works.
unsafe. I hate it because I
So
turn
you
to the
think-
signal.
You think this is the safer route?
Yeah.
Let's go with that. User experience.
It's just, it's a bad intersection.
Can I say something else, Lance? Because I'm gonna have to leave here in a few minutes. I don't know how you sleep at night. I'd be worried all the time about these roads and the safety. But I think that all that time you're not sleeping at night, you must be working. That's what it looks like to me.
Well, I don't sleep very well at night, but
I'm not sure I want to know everything I learned today.
Anything else?
Those write-offs.
yeah, you
The
wanted to
delinquent
make a
charges.
decision on the write-offs as a definitive, I
I
don't
thought we
know
were
exactly what you
saying-
wanted. So last week, you wanted to.
Somebody
the
wanted some
question
more,
On the write-off.
Well,
we
yeah,
wanted some more
Wanted to know how
information. I
many-
can't remember what the information was.
We wanted to ask the auditors what they thought about things,
Oh,
and they
okay.
say,
They don't say.
just
just write it off.
Well, no, they
Get rid of
didn't
it.
say that, because they did say as a business practice, you don't want to encourage
No.
write-offs. If people learn that, I don't pay it, they'll just write it off.
None of these people are learning that because they're all 3 years old.
Yeah, so you look at those, and they said, that you come up with, they said, a $5 one that's 3 years old, of course you write those off. A $10,000 one that's 3 years old, if there's someone to go after, you go after it. But what they wanted to see is, because it doesn't affect our budget.
Yeah.
Until the money comes in, it doesn't affect the budget, it's not revenue. Although at the end of the fiscal year, they put it into our official audit as an accounting entry, it's an audit adjustment. But it's, other than that, so it's just numbers on a piece of paper.
Right.
But we need a policy internally that whoever is in charge of making the decision, so that we don't keep things in this list for years and years and years and years, just to keep it clean, and it becomes cumbersome. And normal write-offs, typically, you start looking at things pretty card at 6 months. And at 365 days a year, if they haven't paid it in a year, you're probably not gonna get it. But they said that's just up to the commission, what the commissioners decide, or what road and bridge decides, put two together. They said it's probably not it's not a county ordinance. It's probably not a resolution, it's just a business practice within the county. Because if you put it out there, people see, oh, their policy is write it off after 365.
Yeah.
I'll avoid it for a year and then they'll write it off.
So the first page, the first 2 pages there are the older ones.
That's right.
And most of those have been received, had a letter from the attorney.
So most of, did you come
That's,
up with an accounting, so you know which ones have no act?
yeah.
I
It's right here.
have asked that question to Wes and I haven't got a definitive answer on that. The other page was the more recent ones, and that goes back to the email I sent to Penny. And I copied Weston on it and requested them to send out letters to the one that was over $500 that was outstanding.
Okay, well, I see.
The other ones, the commissioner before said basically write it off, but the one on there, I had requested Weston to send a letter to him. I haven't received confirmation yet.
And can you guys ban these guys after you don't?
They have been banned.
Okay.
None of these people have been operating, dumping at all under these names and these company names as far as we know. Now, there's one on the first page where you see that the same person had 2 different companies. And both of those companies have been banned from operating.
Well, I bet your ladies up front are pretty good at.
They're pretty good at paying attention to who's coming in.
And this 10,001, they've gone out of business, we don't think we can collect that, the rest of them are less than
Yeah.
500 or pretty darn close.
There's a couple over 1,000, but the $10,000 is the one that I don't know what you're gonna do with it. And it's been a problem for Austin, and it's been a problem.
Who is it?
Tires.
Tires, yeah. Then
I
$9
sent
at least we get.
My code enforcement guy is supposed to go back out there today because we gave him all the information on the state grants you can apply for with tires removed, and said he's gonna reach out, whatever, since. We're trying to
Vote for mayor.
push him along.
So right off, a waste of time.
Yeah, that's what I think, even this one from the attorney, we've talked about this, I think, 2 or 3 times now, let's just write all this off. And then get a policy, do you have a policy you wanna propose to us, or do you wanna talk to your bookkeeper about a policy they
I
wanna
think we can
propose?
talk with Penny and come up with some policy to. propose to the
We
commissioners.
give you what Gatsby says, but that's just an accounting rules.
How about you and I and Penny and maybe Blair sit down and try to come up with.
And I think you guys might be a little different, because your season's kind of 6 months, so you want at least a year. You know, when they say 6 months,
Some
write
of these
something
people
off.
are seasonal,
Right.
but there's many of the others that aren't seasonal. I
It is
mean,
construction.
and this, it's an ongoing thing. It's garbage is definitely a 12-month thing.
I would say 6 months may not be long enough
Yeah,
for you guys, but.
yeah. Okay.
The owners had one question, could you go to cash or card at no charge? Most businesses have cards that they send out with their employees. People don't deal
So
with cash.
we've had some challenges at solid waste with accepting cards and charging more for use of card. We've tried to stay away from the credit cards there at the landfill and at Hatch. There's too many uncertainties about.
Well, I was just gonna say, this write-off is probably less than what we would pay in card fees or
Yeah,
processing fees or something. If that's all we've been writing off for.
well, right now, this is all the information I have to write off. That's, and we have over 1,000 accounts. Generally speaking, most of them are.
Okay. So on these write-offs, they won't be a current year expense. It won't affect the budget. It's just a record-keeping entry. And the auditors said they need to know what's been written off so that they can adjust the audit entries. So if we do get some sort of record keeping, we can give the auditors, these are the ones we wrote off.
Back to the light district discussion, we talked about the fact that the reserve set through light districts is way under what it needs to be. What is a realistic number for pole replacement and accommodate some fluff zone for the wiring?
Yeah, the two repairs that we've had, well, the most recent one was $6,000.
That was that wiring in pole?
Just wiring.
Because what we're thinking is incrementally increasing the holdback for lighting districts
So we
over,
have a
you know,
reserve
3 or 4 years so that our reserves get to be where they're supposed to be.
Now, it's
but we need a number
hard to
to.
know, you know, what's gonna go bad, like the one I